you know, you wrote the book about, you know, how the West is so sick, essentially, right? And then it's kind of like...
Well, it's great and sick.
Yeah. But isn't it kind of funny that... No, I meant sick, like... You know, sick.
Sick. Well, it's sick and it's sick, right.
Yeah. No, but then also, like, all of the stuff that's crappy, it's all here, too, you know what I mean? So what do you, like, reconcile that? Because, you know what I mean? That I feel like there's so many, like, even, like, farthest conservative people, there's, like, America's so great, and it was like, it was like all the stuff you hate is like that you would probably seems like you'd like it better in China, where it's like, you know, this is how you live your life and traditional values. It's a lot of these people you think you'd actually you'd probably prefer Russia, like that would be more up your alley of like culturally. So I'm like, how do you feel about that? Whereas isn't there kind of a lot of the stuff that is bad is also a disease from the West being, you know, so prosperous?
This is kind of my point, actually. Do you know where political correctness comes from?
Bill Maher. It wasn't?
No, tell me where.
From the Soviet Union, and then it was used in China.
I've told that.
And the reason is, in the Soviet Union, political correctness was if you said something that was factually true, but inconvenient to the party line, to the dogma of the party.
That's why it's political.
Right. They would say it was factually correct, but politically incorrect. And it meant it was true, but inconvenient. Right. So my point about, that I make in the book, An Immigrant's Love Letter to the West, is that we're adopting foreign ways of doing things that are not the way that Western society should operate. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So all of the shit, it's not natural to the Western idea.
Okay.
Well, they have like
we're
the
bringing
struggle
things
sessions almost.
right. We're doing the Maoist struggle sessions, all of that. In late Soviet Union, my grandfather, he was like a physicist. He worked in an institute. They would have these letters go around where they have to say, "I, comrade, whatever, condemn this thing that's happening, or this person that said the wrong thing." Right. We're doing all of that shit in the West, and we're bringing it over from a foreign culture that doesn't belong here. This way of doing things. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Right. So it's not like we in the West have these crappy things and that we should. We are importing.
You're saying all the bad things are from there,
but we're not like doing it on. We're not importing it on purpose. So how does it kind of get over here?
Well, I guess that's a big debate. I mean, Yuri Bezmenov. I don't know if you guys are for women. It's just importing women. Are you familiar with Yuri Bezmenov?
No.
So he was a KGB defector. There's a couple of...
is he the guy who has the video about how they like infiltrate the culture?
Yeah, the demoralization.
Yeah. Oh, I remember watching that.
Yeah. So the point basically is...
And he predicted it, right?
Well, he was saying this is what we were doing. We were attempting to undermine American and Western culture by introducing our ideas and supporting people within Western society who are doing the shit.
Like turning America communist or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, look, when you say that, people are like, oh, you're some weirdo. And that's not what I'm saying. We're not...
But America openly does that other places, right?
Right. But the point is, we are adopting things from foreign cultures. And of course, Russia and China, we know this. They are doing everything they can with their bot farms and the troll farms to shape our society in that direction. This is why you can't criticize China. But the moment you do that, the first thing they say is you're racist against China. Because they're using the shit that we're now obsessed with, all this identity bollocks, right? To undermine our ability to actually say, well, you know, you're putting people in camps over here. No, that's racist, right? So I'm not saying we are in a position where like the West is got these good things and bad things. I'm saying a lot of the bad things are not Western.
Yeah.
Right? They're not Western, and we should be careful about what ideas we allow to enter our philosophical space.
How do you stop that?
Right. Well,
talking about.
I mean, talk about it, right?
Yeah, the beauty of it is even if you challenge it, they go, you're one of them.
No, but things are things are harder to pull off.
Well, it's what happened with me, right? I turned down that contract. I'm from a Jewish background. Oh, all right, Nazi straight away.
Yeah, I mean, I had the exact same thing.
Yeah, Jewish Nazi. Like,
I got Jewish Nazi, but in Toronto too.
No, but he makes a good point, because when it is like anything is harder to do once it's been called out first, right? Like you just imagine being a guy trying to pick up a girl. Now imagine right before you do that, two guys went over to that girl, and they're like, every time he talks to a girl, he tries to fuck them. And then you go over, you're like, hands are tied a bit, right? So if you kind of say like, hey, Russia's trying to do all this stuff, it's harder for them to sort of pull it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like having it out in the open does make...
Yeah, but it's also about inoculating yourself. Like if you understand where these ideas are coming from, you start to question, well, why are we pursuing, you know, why are we restricting what we say? Why are we restricting what we're allowed to think? I mean, we're supposed to live in this free society where we're allowed to experiment and make jokes and think about things from different points of view. But increasingly that's gone... And now it's like you better stay in the fucking box, right? And it's not just in comedy; it's in all sorts of cultural sphere. You better not have the wrong opinion.
Do you think the government of America a lot of times goes along with their political parties because it helps them at that moment?
Yeah, and I think the right would do this if they were in cultural power too. I mean, everybody would do this.
Yeah, and
that's why the people who hold the middle. People like us have to hold the middle no matter who's in charge. We just have to say, like, there are certain things that we don't ever sacrifice on the altar of getting what we want politically, which is freedom of speech, number one, right? And the other thing is, we've lost the ability to talk to each other with fucking respect, man. Like, if you disagree with me, you're fucking evil.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just like we just disagree.
Yeah,
no, you're evil.
Yeah.
And if I disagree with you, I'm evil. Like, we've lost that.
And they probably don't have that in, like China, there's none of that. Nobody's like, if you disagree with you, you're evil. They all kind of just agree or get disappeared.
Or they put you in the camp.
Or you just disappear.
Yeah, well, I guess in Russia, he has a story because he's also from there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not from, but my parents are.
Yeah.
But, like, my mom, when we were in Canada doing... like these stuff for the CBC, like Canadian Broadcasting, and then they started implementing all these like checklists and stuff, like these. And my mom's like, "This is like kind of what it was like when in Russia."
100%.
She's like, "This is like reminds me of what it was like when I lived in Russia."
What were the checklists?
Remember, like all the diversity boxes, and you have to check every box and all. But stuff?
How did they have that in Russia?
They just had it for their shit,
for class.
Yeah. For class. Yeah.
Oh,
right. So
I mean, my mom, but like Jewish, so like you're probably saying, but like her passport said she was Jewish in her passport, and then they would do stuff like they would have jobs, and you go, we can only have like one Jew.
Yeah.
Like,
what would they have for the class? They'd say you can only have one. You had to have a certain amount of like working poor people or something?
If you were working class, you would get advantaged in education and all sorts of other things. Like they would push you up. Right. Well, it's the idea of equality, right? You push up the people who are disenfranchised, who are marginalized, who are oppressed.
And then how would they do that? Like your parents have to say how much money they made, and then
no. They would just say, are you like what is your background? And you would say working class or whatever, and they'd sort of work that out.
Wouldn't everyone just say that then?
Well, that's what happened.
And that's
this is why everyone's fucking non-binary now, because like you can just be non-binary and it's helpful, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing.
So how did it work? Like, so you'd say like there's only like, for instance, one Jewish person allowed. So what would you do if it was like an accounting firm? Like, do you know what I mean?
It would just be a crap. Every accounting firm sucked equally.
Yeah.
They all
or there's just a Jewish guy in the corner doing all the fucking work.
Can you imagine a world with ethical accounting firms?
No.
And no one would go to them either.
All of a sudden, those fucking those super high interest rates all of a sudden disappear, huh?
But coming back to your point, I'll give you a story that I'm talking about in the book. So my granddad in the late 80s, he made some comments about a hot button issue in the Soviet Union at the time, which was the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan. Everyone keeps fucking invading Afghanistan, right? It was a hot button issue.
They were getting torched right and left.
And within like a short period of time, he lost his job. He was made unemployable, and a bunch of his friends, who, by the way, relevant to modern times, they all agreed with him privately, but wouldn't say a fucking word in public. They all ostracized him.
And what did he say?
He said we were wrong to invade Afghanistan.
Yeah, okay, it's like my grandfather, literally, like my parents left Russia like when they were in their 20s.
Yeah.
And then my grandfather was like, he was like a pretty hardcore communist. Like he was into that shit.
Your grandfather?
My grandfather. And he had like, some big job and all this stuff. And just because my mom left Russia, then they were like, you did a bad job raising a communist, and he got kicked out and he lost everything.
Yeah, that's how it worked, man.
Yeah.
But this is
a real purity shit.
Right, but it's also
so
collective
if your kids
punishment.
turn out bad, they go, you didn't do it right.
But it's also collective punishment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And again, that's a thing that, and so with example, my granddad, for example, right? Unemployable, lost his job, forced out of the country eventually, and his friends lost. Is that different?
For this one thing.
For saying something, for an opinion.
Yeah. For an opinion. Right? Not even a stating.
Yeah. And did he say it like in a public
private
forum?
He said it in private.
And then someone ratted him out. Oh,
now, how is that all that different to what the shit that we do now sometimes when someone says the wrong thing and suddenly someone rats on them, oh, this happened, he said this, and then we fucking cancel.
You're out of the industry, Right. You're a Bitcoin guy now.
So this is my... Welcome to podcasting.
Yeah, welcome to podcasting and Bitcoin.
Yeah, he had that's what Danny has a joke about this, but you had the same.
Yeah,
thing
my grandmother like literally, I mean, they probably Russian people have a million of these stories, but she had some neighbor who was, one day was like, hey, do you know where my husband is? And the people were like, no, we haven't seen your husband. And then it turned out he told some guy a joke in the lobby of the building about, you know, some government, and they just breaking rocks in Siberia for 10 years.
Yeah. It's what happens. So I talk about this in the book. So my grandmother was born in a gulag, in a Soviet labor camp. And she was born there because both her parents had been sent there separately. And what happened to her mother, right?
Separately for two different things?
Yeah, well, they were not married at the time.
They like met there.
Oh.
Yeah, they met in the camp, right? So
getting pussy in the gulag.
And the reason that she was there is her husband was taken away, didn't know what happened, right? So she left her newborn baby with a neighbor, went to find out what happened to him, and they were, oh, you're his wife.
Yeah.
Guilty. Off you go to the camp. Never saw her husband again, and she met this new guy there, and that's how my grandmother was born.
She did.
You're taking this very seriously. He's like, your family in the camp. Ha ha.
I thought the moral of the story is that my fucking men in my family get sniz. I thought that's what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. No matter where you are, you can still get pussy.
But you know, this is what happens all the time with communism. Like in Venezuela, Chavez came to power in '99. Slowly but surely, you just saw, for instance, journalists getting attacked. And then it was happening in private. Well, and you know, like the odd word, like don't say this, don't say that.
What were kind of the things you can't say?
So you can't criticize the government. You can't make jokes about the government.
All government.
I mean, that's what it always starts with. Don't,
yeah. You know,
because that's how you know, like derail a government is you publicly criticize them, and everybody gets on board.
Yeah,
right?
and mockery is a very powerful tool to do that.
Yeah.
You know, so like, you know, the comedians started to leave, and then pretty soon it was the journalists. And you know the rules. You know what's going to happen if you transgress. And it's made obvious because the people, you see it happen to the people around you, so you're not going to do it.
Of course.
You're just not going to do it. And it's like a soft... And what we do here is kind of different, but it's really interesting because you've seen what happens to people who transgress.
Yeah.
You know what's going to happen. And also as well, you know that if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person in the wrong way and it can be misconstrued, and let's be fair now, context no longer matters...
Yeah.
Then the same shit can happen to you.
And they turn everybody into a spy. And then they also are like, if you are sitting around and like this, and then you hear someone say something and you don't rat them out, then you're guilty of saying it. So then you literally force everybody to distrust everybody.
And the hint to this is in the language.
Yeah.
What do they say when somebody is progressive like them? You're an ally.
Yeah. No, it's war terms.
Yeah, it's war terms. And if someone disagrees with you, it's no longer that they disagree with you. You're the opposite of an ally. What's the opposite of an ally?
Enemy.
Enemy.
So it's cool for me to destroy you because you're my enemy.
Right.
It's been completely weaponized.
Yeah.
This is the New Clips channel. Hit us with a subscribe. Let's get those numbers up. Thank you. Peace.